This is my second time covering COIORVIS on this channel, but this time they're bringing a Mini Pro Bluetooth gamepad, which very much reminds us of the Super Nintendo one, and I can't help but ask myself, why? Hi, I'm Clef, and you're watching gametechtalk. gametechtalk is a channel that specializes in anything tech gaming related, so let's jump right in. Clearly they're going after the Super Nintendo controller. Now there are already a few options on the market, and we'll talk about that later on this video. We have a dongle, a USB-C cable, as well as a manual. Pretty simple. I mean, it's pretty much a printed piece of paper. It doesn't feel bad. So membrane on the buttons, on the D-pad. The other buttons are tactile. These are not analog triggers, they're digital. The sticks click. They're concave. I never remember. Concave is when they dip down, I think. Which usually is my preference. They're definitely large sticks, so that's a plus if that's what you want and that's what you like. You know how sometimes you put your thumb into that little cove that is so smooth that it kind of tricks your brain into feeling as though it pushes on your thumb rather than your thumb being shaped into something? That's kind of what I'm feeling, which is not necessarily unpleasant. I just don't know that it lends itself right to a controller. It has multiple modes, so it's compatible for Switch, PC, iOS, and Android. There is, of course, a dongle include, which operates in the 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth. It supports phone mount. I haven't seen anything on the website that indicates an adapter that is being sold. There is vibration. It does have 6-axis gyro support, and you have turbo. You don't have extra paddles or anything like that, and it can wake up the Switch. Now, in terms of support, I have tested it everywhere, and we'll talk about performance a little later, but for this video we will mainly use Switch and Android, starting with the Switch. Funny enough, I happen to have COIORVIS's gamepads on here, which are pretty much my favorite Joy-Cons for the time being. So you have a few shortcuts to power up the controller. If you want to go Switch, you just hold the home button for a couple seconds. You have home plus A if you want to do PC and Android, or you have home plus Y to do iOS. So, you know, there's a few devices that it supports. That's a nice feature. It's not necessarily something that is unique to this specific product. As far as how the feel goes, it's decent. I mean, it feels, you know what, let me remove this because I need to feel the D-pad properly. I like the feel of it. It's decent. I'm not necessarily having the impression that it is particularly good inputs as well. Just that it works as you would expect. But yeah, nothing out of ordinary is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Now, another thing that you can do, although there is little to no use right now, another thing that you can do, almost didn't make it, is you can hold the T button here and you can push a button and that'll transform into turbo. So for example, that is my shooting button. If I hold it once, and you'll notice that the little blue LED light will shine every time I push it. So that means that turbo is activated. And if I wanted to have it on automatic mode, you just push it again and the blue light is still, but if I push it once, it flickers as it is now. That means that turbo is activated for that key, and if I wanted to just deactivate the feature altogether, I would do it again. And that's basically what it does. All right, let's try a fighting game, see how that feels. The SNES controller was great at the time, and if you've been around in that era, which I was, it's always fun to have something like that to sort of relive the nostalgia. But the reality is, especially for an adult, maybe for a kid, but for an adult, it's not necessarily a controller that is up to standard, and you have alternatives that have managed to bring back that design but in modern times, but this one does not do that. This is a controller that is really designed to give you that nostalgia kind of feel. Okay, I mean, I guess if anything, the D-pad is good. I did not know what to expect, and so far this has been really... It's a little hard to play, mind you, because I'm not really seeing what I'm doing right now. But yeah, okay. You know what? In terms of pulling out your moves in your fighting games, it works better than I expected. All right, let's look at Gyro. So I don't think you guys will hear it, but the rumble is, it is audible, but considering the size of the controller, I thought it was going to be a little worse. It isn't. It's actually quite acceptable. It is not an HD type rumble, right? We're talking about something that feels and sounds very much like a rotary motor, so I'm pretty sure that it is. So let's see gyro and if it performs as it should. Actually, you know what? Let me just... So that up, okay. That up motion I didn't get the first time, but that might have been me. All right, so far so good. I find the analogs to be a little soft. Now, mind you, that is something that you can easily fix. You can put either a cap on it, or you could put what I often use for my mice, actually, for my computer mouse, is those little rugged stickers. So you could probably put something like that on there as well if you don't want something that is, you know, changes the feel and the overall size of the sticks. I don't know if you guys will hear the rumble. It's fairly faint. You definitely feel the rumble. So if this is something you like, it is the case. Now, considering I don't have any game sound at the time being, you know, I think it's expected that I hear it more, but I feel like if the sound was on, I probably wouldn't hear it pretty much at all. And we didn't have any misreads with the gyro, so from where I stand, it works well. All right, let's try Android and see how that works. We're going to use it with something that obviously this controller is not designed for, by going Call of Duty Warzone. But while we're here, hey guys, if you subscribe, I will juggle with these two controllers. Oh, thank you. Let's go. Oh my god, I'm so bad at juggling. Oh my god. There you go. I hope I got your subscription. In the meantime, while I'm testing this game, let's talk a little about performance. So when it comes to wired, and something that this controller has that does better than the other controllers on the market, is the pulling rate when being wired. I was able to be in the 250 Hertz class, although it did not hit that number consistently. In fact, it didn't hit that number at all. Still, it is doing better because it is on that upper tier. Jitter is actually worse than any of the 8-bit DOs that I've tested, and that could cause issues. I did not feel that experience when playing games. Oops, I probably should have, oh man. I forgot to sync my controller, my bad.
5 minutes later.
And the max latency that I have hit with this controller is higher. That is on wired, that is using the dongle, that is using Bluetooth. So that is definitely a concern. Now, granted, I don't see why you would want to use that controller to play competitive, but if it's important for you, the chances of having signal drops, even for a split second, is more likely here. You don't have digital triggers, right? So if that's something that is important for you, if you want to play, for example, something like xCloud and racing games, you have 0 and 100. There's no in between when it comes to this controller. Is it the controller for that? I don't think so. When playing Android, the button layout is swapped to what a traditional controller would look like, which means that A is at the bottom and B is to the right, rather than being what you see on the actual controller. It's probably ideal for people who play these types of games. At least that's what I would want. Now keep in mind, I'm having a hard time even seeing what's going on right now. So I don't expect to stay alive really, really long, but you know, let's just try to make the most of it. I'm gonna have to rethink this situation whenever playing games, because this is this is gonna be hard to see. Oh, is that someone? Well, hey, I mean, this is training, but I got him. Got him. Let's go. Oh, I'm being shot at. Again, I find the sticks feel a little weird. That's easily addressed. I like that they are big sticks. But, you know, one thing that, if it's going to make any sense, that I find with these controllers, and that goes with the 8-bit DO SN30 Plus as well, the sticks are sort of on the outside, like on the edges of the controller. So when pushing them, it feels as though you're always tilting the controller, if that makes sense. So I don't see these controllers as being good options for anything that is, you know, competitive. This is really a platformer type controller, a retro style controller. There are some benefits to this one, which we'll jump into real soon. It's nearly impossible to think and see this controller without thinking at least of this one. And the thing is, 8BitDo already tackled that style of controller, and in fact they improved greatly from the original. They're the first one to have brought the sticks to this controller, and you know, in terms of the buttons, the quality is superior. The D-pad feels better, the plastic feels better, it's just slightly better in terms of ergonomics, and you're not really missing anything. They're not the same price. You also have the adapter to mount your phone. I love that you have a sticker that tells you how to switch to which mode. It's not that this is a bad controller, but you'll start seeing this as a theme. It's that there's already so much better. And this is where I'm confused with why this product even exists. Because COIORVIS can definitely do quality stuff. They've proven to be able to do that with the Joy-Cons. I find that they're kind of going after 8BitDo, and I can't help but try to understand why. And not only that, 8BitDo has actually upgraded this controller. So mine doesn't have Hall effect sticks, but the upgraded one does. So you could get that as well. However, beyond these two, then you have this controller. And that controller kind of keeps the feel of the Super Nintendo one, but in a much more improved kind of ergonomic situation. Like this one, you can actually use with shooters. Now, in terms of pulling rate, and they are not great controllers from a performance standpoint. Now, this one can also be upgraded with the Hall effect sticks if you want. That's where I'm at. I'm at this place where I'm like, okay, well, why? So I'm kind of wondering, why does this one exist? Well, as we said, it is not a bad controller, and there is definitely one advantage to it, which is the price. They listed at $39. If they want to ask $39 for that, they're completely bunkers. But personally, I've only seen it on sale all the time at $19.90 on their website, and you're looking maybe to have a controller for a kid type of thing. It's not a bad option. Or maybe you're trying to have something, but you don't want to spend that kind of money because these one go for $40, and I believe this one goes for $80. Maybe you want to go for this one because you know you're going to clock in maybe 1 to 2 hours every 3 months type of thing. Then in that case, I can understand why you'd want to go with the COIORVIS. If you're trying to go for the closest possible to nostalgia, you can find even these like third market ones that one feels way more like the traditional Super Nintendo controller. But after having used this and that, it's obvious that 8BitDo improved by doing, you know, slight alterations while retaining 90 to 95% of what you would expect in terms of nostalgia. I'm in a position where I have reviewed the Joy-Cons from COIORVIS, and I'm thinking, wow, these guys, they can really make great stuff. So I'm here thinking, why then? Why did you do that? Why do you not tackle something that feels more likely to give you the opportunity to stand out? And in that regard, I have a hard time recommending it. It's not that it's a bad controller. I think it's a bad decision. That's what it comes down to. Really, again, and I repeat myself, the only benefit here is price. If price is important, well, in that specific case, you do not have a bad option with the COIORVIS. I just wouldn't recommend it past that. If you don't mind spending double and going for this one, you will be better served with it. Yes, you pay more, but you do get a lot more when going for the 8BitDo. I'm sorry, COIORVIS, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I just feel like your efforts would be better spent elsewhere, making things like greater Joy-Cons, or maybe making a great Switch Pro style controller. I feel like this is something you could tackle because, again, those Joy-Cons, A1. Which, talking about the Joy-Cons, I keep talking about them. If you want to see that video that I made, you can see it right here. It's a great product, great review, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.